Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another day here at Reach and Reverie. Today, it's a little bit humid for us in West Texas, but it's one of the first days where we have a relatively dry morning. The ground is starting to dry up, even though with the high humidity, you can hardly see the mountains in the distance, and I do think we do have another 40% chance of rain today. The rain in our area has been historic. By no means have we had the weather like Central Texas. I know they're dealing with a lot of flooding. We're keeping them in our thoughts and prayers. Here in West Texas, we, I think, got about 6 inches of rain last Wednesday night into Thursday. And that's a lot of rain for us. I'll show you guys some pictures here of what the road looked like. Coming in and off of our property. We did get some minor flooding, but everybody in our area is okay and the water's receded really quickly. By no means are we like Central Texas. And my heart, of course, does go out to everybody who is going through that right now. I actually grew up in Hays County in Central Texas and spent a large portion of my life there in that neck of the woods, and I know that that recovery is going to be a long process. And I can only imagine what they're going through. Are you looking for rabbits? We actually have some green on the ground now. This weekend, it has been a long weekend as Josh and I both had off for the 4th of July for Independence Day. So we drove down about 80 miles south and ran some errands. We went to his mom's house and we plucked some yuccas, or desert cactus, that were going to be in the way of a project on her yard, and we are bringing them here to try to get them planted in the ground here and see if we can let them survive instead of just tearing them out. So we do have currently a truck full of yuccas that we're gonna be planting this weekend. Josh and I also went to one of his friend's house and we were able to pick up a couple of rocks that we have some really exciting projects for. One project, we're going to put one at the front of the property with our house number. So that will be really beautiful, just to have a really large rock with our numbers on it. You can see those here. These rocks are huge and we got 2 of them. And look at how thick those are. They were just on the side of this mountain. There was some excavator work at his friend's house and he had a couple to spare from the projects that his friend was doing. So we took the tractor down and we had to load these up. And it was almost too big for us to get on these trailers, but we did it. So we're really excited about those upcoming projects. And as we walk towards the garden, my goodness, I think we've got some weed eating to do. Look at how tall these amaranths are getting. It is wild. Luckily, amaranths, they are good for being a trap crop for critters that like to eat garden plants. They're also pretty easy to pull by hand, but I think we're outnumbered here. We have been busy, and this week Josh and I also got a 1,000-gallon water tank painted, and we were able to transfer rainwater from our 3,000-gallon water tank up by the house. That way we can make room for more rainwater because we are overflowing. Up at the house we have about 6,000 gallons of storage up there. And then we also have a 250-gallon tote up at the house as well. And we were maxed out with the heavy rainfall that we've been having. This past probably 6 weeks, we have been raining just about every single day. This is historic. It doesn't feel like a desert at all. So we were able to get this protected to help keep algae from growing. We painted it and we filled this up by transferring water with a water transfer pump and a little bit of gravity feeding to get this thing filled up and ready to go. And that's going to be great for watering the garden. I could put a hose into that tank with a little transfer pump and push that water to the garden. And the best part is that we'll be watering the garden with rainwater, which the plants love so much better than well water. We've been having a lot of helicopters practicing lately, doing some maneuvers and stuff. I'm trying to keep this video moving because Josh and I have another errand to run this morning. It's going to be about an hour north. He'll probably be there a couple hours and then an hour back. But also, my sister is coming this weekend, which I am so thrilled about. Coming into the garden, I've planned on having clematis climbing over this, but the clematis had other plans for us. So in order to have something growing, I went ahead and planted nasturtiums and zinnias and even a pumpkin. That way we could grow something over here. And the pumpkin is coming up. This is a Jarradale pumpkin. My zinnias have started to bloom within the past couple of days of rainfall, and my nasturtiums are also doing pretty good here as well. Aren't those zinnias just beautiful? And then we also have a really pretty yellow one here as well. Isn't that just beautiful? And we have a few different plants, so I'm excited. These I think are going to be a different color. We'll have to wait and see. And the garden has just popped, you guys. Josh and I left for a day and a half, and I'm going to show you guys a picture of the harvest that we pulled out of this yesterday. It was phenomenal. And some of the harvest that we also got this week as well, I took some pictures of. I didn't catch everything because some of it was so good I snacked in the garden. I just want to take a little bit of time to appreciate this garden, looking at how good a lot of things are doing. Our sunflowers are starting to come up. Some of our tomatoes are doing fantastic. Like this one was supposed to be a white currant, but it has red tomatoes, so I don't know, I guess that would make it a red currant. I have also had to come through and surprisingly pick off tomato hornworms, and I'll show you guys a picture of some of the ones we got last night by coming out here after dark with a black light, because tomato hornworms glow under a black light, which is so cool. I saw some damage on my tomatillos and I knew there was one lurking about, and it turned out that there were 3 lurking about. But the surprising thing about that is that I haven't had any hornworms on my tomatoes. The tomatoes have not been doing super great this year. I mean, they're hanging in there, but we've been losing some to disease. And then overall, they've just not been looking great. I do think that with the amount of rainfall we've been getting, potentially they're just getting too much water. But even so, got a Buratino right there. We've got a ton of Costaludo Fiorentino on these plants waiting to ripen. Another zinnia, hello. We have our lemon blush over here that are cracking a little bit with the amount of rainfall that we've been getting. And then down on the end, I've been eyeing this one, and I harvested a couple off of this plant, which I may need to pull out, that looks really sick. But this is Queen of the Night. I'm waiting for it to ripen for this green to turn red, but it's rich in anthocyanins, really nice. It's a saladette. It's kind of in between a cherry tomato and a slicer, but it's gorgeous. There's some smaller ones over here. That's more like a cherry. Isn't it just beautiful? Our eggplants are really showing up to the party. Yes, they look a little damaged. They always do. They are a favorite to pests like flea beetles, but eggplants are strong, and even though they get a little bit ugly this time of year, they typically will still flower and produce. So we'll be getting some fruit, I think. And our okra is also showing up. I was a little worried about it because it took a really long time to get started, but I think now that the warmer weather is here, it is really taking off and making friends. Look at that little ladybug. I actually had a dream last night that I came out and harvested a bunch of okra from these plants. You can tell where my mind's at. And then things like our catnip and our serious blue sage are flowering and just look absolutely lovely. I love these dainty little pink flowers. And I've been getting so much squash off of these plants, you guys. I think every other day I'm harvesting squash, which is wild. This plant alone has probably given me 7 or 8 squashes. And look, there's another zucchini right there. Ford hook is a winner in my book this year. I've gotten 1 scallop squash off of this jaune vert, and then I've gotten, again, probably 7 or 8 off of the Ford hook there. I've probably gotten 3 off of the Ford hook here, and this Ford hook was planted later. It's coming up, and look at how beautiful that squash plant is. I have a couple new succession sown coming up through here. Our Ronde Denise, which has like a pumpkin shaped zucchini, those are coming through with some fruit. I think there's 3 that are growing up here that look pretty good, and 2 of them, look at these 2. These are looking like little conjoined twins, those fasciated blossoms there. But that one I'm getting close full watch on to see when I can harvest it. I haven't actually harvested any Ronde Denise this year yet. And then this Mexican gray zucchini, I've probably harvested 4 off of this plant, and there's another 2 that are coming up here. There's this beautiful female flower we could probably harvest for dinner tonight. My cucumbers have not been doing good. I think they're petering out. I've left them just in case we can get a cucumber or 2 off of them. But what has been doing really good are our cucumber lookalikes. We have the Armenian yard-long cucumber and the Indian snake cucumber, which are actually melons, but they taste and look like cucumbers. So we harvest them as cucumbers, and they do really good with the heat. They're more resistant to pests and to disease than cucumbers, so they're great for this southern climate. And so I have been keeping a watchful eye out because these cucumbers, this Indian snake, it will grow so fast. We left for to go out of town this weekend for a day and a half, and when we left, the Indian snake was maybe about 7 inches long, and when we came back it was almost 2 feet long, and we harvested it. So it really is something that we need to come out and check daily with the amount of rain we've been getting, because things are just growing so fast. I'm keeping an eye out for this sunflower to bloom. I think that this is a mammoth sunflower, and it's currently about 4 feet tall. I know they can grow tall. I don't know if this one's gonna get that big, but he is still quite remarkable. Birdhouse gourd is racing to the top. He's almost there. He's neck and neck with the watermelon down at the end. And I have been keeping an eye on this plant, watching for little bird houses, because I just think this is the coolest plant. And again, every time I walk by you guys, I just want to pet it. If you've never grown a birdhouse gourd, grow it just for the tactile experience. I literally will sit here and just pet my gourd. It is so soft, and really a vigorous grower. My tomatillos are quite remarkable as well this time of year. This is, I want to say, about 3 solid plants in this section, and it is almost as tall as that sunflower. So I'd say this is a good 3.5 feet tall here, and they are full of little tomatillos that are ripening. I have grown tomatillos before. I will say it was with limited success because of the amount of space that I was growing in. So now that we're here and I can stretch my gardening legs, it's been really nice. Just taking a quick closer look here. Look at those tomatillos growing. And for some reason, the tomato hornworms have really been favoring our tomatillos and peppers this year. You can see, this is how I knew we had a tomato hornworm. That damage. It looks like they come and just snip off the leaves, and they will decimate entire plants overnight. So we are coming out here about every other day with a black light looking for tomato hornworms, and we had 3 of them on this plant yesterday, and you can see the damage that they were doing, just chomping down this plant, mowing it down. Beans are really taking off. They're actually going and grabbing on to the cucumber trellis, and they're racing up faster than our cucamelons that had a much earlier start. So I'm keeping an eye out for flowers and beans, and hopefully these are all lima beans. We'll be getting some beans here really soon. I also have, of course, cowpeas, which are kind of competing for space with the Armenian cucumbers. And then my other cowpeas are competing with this massive watermelon. And I do come out here occasionally and pick amaranth that grows up in between the cowpeas. You can tell the difference between the leaves of a bean and the leaves of an amaranth. It's quite easy to just come out here and pull the amaranth. Just like that. My peppers are also really coming in and showing up this week. I'll show you guys again that picture of our harvest we did yesterday. A lot of the peppers, I was a little overzealous and I picked them green when they would have matured. Like the corbachis were a little bit underripe, and some of the peppers that I picked, I could have let them get a little bit more color and started blushing before I picked them, but I was just so excited. These plants were weighted down by fruit, and my thought was, I'll go ahead and pick this first harvest. They're full of flowers, and that'll allow them to give us some more fruit. So I am keeping an eye on these. There is still quite a lot of fruit that I could pick that we're just gonna let get bigger and change color a little bit. And look at that, another little garden friend. There's ladybugs everywhere. There's another one down there. I love how many ladybugs I'm seeing in this garden space. It really brings me so much joy. But our ahi cachucha are again so beautiful. If you're wanting a plant that is just stunning, grow the ahi cachucha. It's very globular, compact, beautiful pepper plants. And then you have things like the shotashero over here that grows tall and lanky, and he's got some peppers. This morning we did a pan of blistered shishito peppers with scrambled eggs, and it was delightful. I'm coming out here like, do we have more shishitos I can pick, because we blew through those way too fast. We have a bunch of flowers on our buena mulata. Here's the pepperoncini. We could get some pickling peppers going. Our cubanelles are fantastic. I was telling Josh, I really want to make some chili rellenos with these, so I'm kind of waiting for these to get a little bit bigger. I have some inside the house that we may stuff with cheese and maybe do like mild poppers that aren't spicy. Most of what I'm growing is not spicy. I really prefer sweet peppers. So like here below me, I have habanadas, which are habaneros with no heat. They're really sweet and floral and have all of the great flavors of habaneros without being spicy. We have these over here. And habanadas, they are, in my experience, late bloomers. Look at that, another ladybug. So these will typically flower later in the season. Here's our shishitos. Look at how many more we have. Yes. That means we can do more scrambled eggs with blistered shishitos. We've got a ton of Hungarian black jalapenos here. Look at that. I probably need to pick some of these. This pepper is just weighted down with them. We've got brown jalapenos, which they're still green because they haven't ripened yet. And then the bells, we are loaded down with mini bells. There's albino bells, grand bell, lilac bell, and then blot peppers as well. And the blots have been producing really good. I've been coming out here and picking blot peppers a couple times a week. We have noticed, oddly enough, that the albino bells are getting a lot of bug damage. So that's kind of our trap crop for the peppers. And then our basil patch is heavenly. It is filling out this whole space. I started with 16 basil plants in this section, and we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I really think that 5 fills this up really well. So next year, I could probably tone it down with the basil. This is more than enough. I'm coming out here pretty much every day and picking off ones that want to go to flower. And last night we did Thai basil chicken, and it was so good. I really want to do that again. This watermelon is coming all the way out to here. Let's take a closer look. This is one of my favorite things I'm growing this year. These beautiful spotted leaves. And look at this little guy. He's already growing his little moons and stars. And I'm keeping a lookout. It looks like we have another one right here that may get pollinated. And this was kind of a flop. Nothing's really been growing in this section, so I'm just kind of letting the watermelon fill it in. You can see he's got several arms coming through, and maybe we'll get some more watermelons on the ground over here. Opposite the watermelon and next to the okra, we have our cantaloupes. We have Sweet Passion and Charentais successfully growing on this space. We already have a Charentais here that we're waiting to ripen. It's a little bit smaller than Charentais I've grown in the past, but this plant has also been attacked by rabbits repeatedly. So we will take what we can get. Our Sweet Passion is being an overachiever, and look at this. 1, 2, 3, at least 3 growing right there. And then we take a step over here, and we have 4, I guess we've got 4 Sweet Passions growing. I almost feel like there's more. If I go from the other side, I could probably find more. So we got at least 4 Sweet Passions and 1 Charentais growing here on this trellis. And look at that. Wow, this is a really heavy fruit. And then I also have Succession, a couple more Sweet Passions down here, just in case that rabbit decides to come back. And the last thing I want to show you guys this morning before we hit the road on our adventure, we have our Two Sisters garden bed with our corn and our pumpkin patch. And it is a 4-foot wide bed that is going probably 8 or 9 feet wide at this point, going into the walkways. The pumpkins are delightful and just so happy, full of ladybugs. This week we did see our first squash bugs. They have found us. I was really hoping we'd get a whole year without squash bugs, but here we are. The other cool thing though is that I have seen some pumpkins growing. We've got one tucked right here. Look at that pumpkin. Isn't he cute? I have this little trellis I threw in just to experiment and see if we'd have anybody grow up it, because they typically, just like the cucumbers and the watermelons and the cantaloupes and the gourd, pumpkins, if they grow up a trellis, they're typically more disease-free, and it keeps them off the ground a little bit to keep them a little bit higher up from pests. So just threw this in here, and funnily enough, we've got a happy little pumpkin growing right there. I believe this is a cheese squash growing on this one, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to see. It's either cheese squash or Lady Godiva. I'm not 100% sure. Growing in this space with pumpkins, we have, of course, the corn is dent and flower corn. We've got glass gem and Montana Red Eagle and Blue Hopi, and they have been a trap crop in this organic garden for everything else. So I don't know how much corn we're actually going to harvest, but it's keeping our squash really pretty, so we're just kind of going with it. But we have Jarradale, Blue Hubbard, which typically is a trap crop. I didn't know that when I bought it. We have Lady Godiva, acorn squash, cheese squash, Seminole pumpkin, and tromboncinos down at the end. And I think I saw, yes, right here, that to me looks like a Blue Hubbard. Isn't he pretty? He looks kind of like a football. And I've been walking through here looking for squash bugs and squashing them. And we do also have some tromboncinos. Let's see. You can see here. See that little light colored curlicue? That is a tromboncino. And tromboncinos, you eat like a butternut squash, or you can harvest them young like a zucchini. And they look like, almost like a trombone. They're real long. If you grow them on a trellis, they'll grow straight. If you grow them on the ground, they'll kind of curl around like so. Little S's here and there. There's another little one right here. So maybe, hopefully, we'll get a lot of squash for eating this year. I wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter and sweet. We've got a lot of things to do today. We're about to go and run on our errand. It's about an hour drive north. We'll be up there in a couple hours, and then another hour drive south. And we still have time to get ready for my sister and her husband Rick to come. So excited to see you, Lauren and Rick, later this week. But I wanted to show you guys a look at this garden space. I feel like it is really, really happy, coming into its own, flourishing with all of the rain we've had. And I don't know when or if we're gonna get another year like this with all of this rainfall. So, soaking up every minute of it. We do need to come in here and get some weeds out, either weedy or pull all these tumbleweeds and amaranth. They're starting to go to seed. We'll never get rid of these guys. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel. And hit that subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date with everything going on here at Reach and Reverie.